Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I am going to cover a handful of items about Denver, Colorado that you may want to consider if you're thinking about making a move here from another state. If you want to learn all about that, stick around. I'm going to unpack it next. If this is your first time here, my name is Bill Knapp and I'm a residential realtor in the Denver metro area, and I cover all the areas and surrounding neighborhoods. I produce these videos as a way to give some details and information for anybody moving within the city or also coming here from another state, ideally giving you some information that might be helpful while you make your transition to the area. If I say anything that's very helpful to you during this video, do me a favor and smash that like button, hit the bell notification so you can get identified every time I put out a new video, and make sure you subscribe so you stay up to date with all my latest releases. Part of the reason I do these videos is because it puts me in contact with a bunch of people I otherwise may not have met thanks to the power of YouTube. So if I can help you in any way, definitely reach out at the phone number below or an email that I'm posted below. I will get back to you as soon as possible and see what I can do to help you out with any questions as you make your transition. Okay, now on to the items that I would like you to think about while you're considering a move to Denver. And to kickstart us, it's the number one question I get all the time now due to all the different price hikes that have been happening across the country, is how expensive is Denver? And to answer that quickly, I'm just going to cover the costs of a single family home, the median and the average for Denver County. And as of right now, shooting this in spring of 2023, the average cost for a single family home, which will be about a 3-bed, 2-bath home, roughly about 1,500 square feet, is right around the range of $542,000. If you want to go a little bit more towards the higher end, you can expect to pay about $800,000 for the same type of property. If you want to go something a little bit more affordable, like a townhome or a condo, you can still find those at about $350,000 to $375,000, but the space will be smaller and you may or may not have a parking space. So the cost is not exorbitant compared to other metros like New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, San Francisco. But if you're coming from the Midwest or you're coming from areas of Texas or other rural areas, this could be a bit of a sticker shock and not as affordable as you were thinking. The next item I want to bring up is the amount of population growth we are experiencing in the Denver area. Now, during COVID, we did have a bit of a backslide because people were fleeing all the big cities. But over the last year over year, we are seeing a growth of about 1.2 to 2%. And we are currently at about 750,000 residents in the downtown Denver area. And we can expect that continued growth year over year, meaning that our population is growing. So if you're looking to come to Denver because you heard it's a little bit less populated than where you are, it could be true, depending on what city you're coming from. But it's not that sparsely populated anymore. It's actually getting quite busy, which is a good thing because we're seeing a lot of amazing residential, commercial, and other types of developments going on, but it is not the small cow town that people claim that it once was. And as the population continues to grow, you can pretty much assume that we're going to have more cars on our highways and on our infrastructure. Now, the good news is we have an RTD system in place, which is pretty usable. It covers the majority of the Denver metro area. That said, it does not go out very far from the Denver metro. They are working on expanding those lines, but you will not be able to rely solely on the RTD necessarily. You could bike or do scooters or smart cars or carpool to and from wherever your commute might be, but you are going to be sitting in traffic, and our highways are notorious for jamming up during the peak hours, especially I-70 as you head into the mountains for skiing. If you're trying to get there on time for first chair, you best be leaving very, very early. If you're coming to and from the downtown area, the peak hours coming in right about 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and coming home right about 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I-70, I-25, 225, those all back up pretty good. They become moving parking lots, so it's not as bad as like Washington, D.C., New York, or San Francisco necessarily, but it does get busy. So something to consider if you're moving here to escape traffic, because we definitely have it. Now, for the next thing to consider, it's kind of off the topic of population and growth, but sort of tied into it, and that's going to be the air quality here in Denver and Colorado in general. Overall, Colorado, the air quality is really good to moderate for the most part, but that said, in the Denver metro area and some of the surrounding neighborhoods, we do have some issues with temperature inversion because that's where the cold air gets trapped underneath of the warm air because of the thin air here in Denver, which creates that Denver brown cloud. It doesn't allow the particulate matter to get up into the atmosphere, so when we have more cars on the road with more exhaust, or we have more infrastructure and factories moving stuff, all that air gets trapped and you get that smogish look. It's not all the time that we have that, but we do have that here and there, so it's something to consider. Another portion about our air quality is that we do have wildfires. Colorado itself has a handful or so every year. Some are really, really bad, some are just pretty minor. The thing that most people don't think about is we are neighboring several other wildfire states like Wyoming, Montana, and even as far north as Canada. And that smoke can blow down into our area, which creates smoggy days for us, lowering the actual air quality and making it a little bit tough if you're an outdoor recreational enthusiast. And one last tidbit on air quality. During the extreme hot days of our summer here in Denver, we get these ozone alerts that are put up on the bulletin boards for our HOV lanes and all over the highways, letting us know that the ground ozone is actually higher than what is expected for average use and health. So if you are out there for prolonged times, like for sporting events, this is for all kids or people that are doing stuff outdoors, that can have an impact on your upper respiratory tract. And also if you're asthmatic, that can create some problems for you. So definitely consider that as you're moving out this direction. The next thing I want you to consider is more along the lines of a lifestyle and a living perspective, and that is our downtown nightlife and dining. Overall, we have a really decent scene here, but if you're coming from a place that is familiar or you're more familiar with nightclubs or late night dining, we don't exactly have a lot of that here in Denver. The majority of our bars are open until about 1 or 2 a.m., but if you're looking to get something like late night grub, you're gonna be kind of resorting to some smaller places, divey restaurants, that kind of thing, because most restaurants in Denver close around midnight. And the restaurants that are open up until midnight are absolutely awesome. You definitely want to go check them out, definitely around the Larimer Square area, the Rhino District, anything along the 16th Street Mall or the surrounding Highlands or Highland Park, all wonderful places to eat. But don't plan on being out till like 3 or 4 a.m. like you might be used to in like Vegas or Miami or something like that, because Denver just tends to shut down. So use that in your planning. If you're more of the night crawling, stay out nocturnal crowd, you're not gonna have as late of nights opportunities here as you would at other locations. Another lifestyle tip to consider comes to yard spaces. And I get this question quite a lot because I have a lot of people moving here from where I'm from in Ohio and in the Midwest. They're thinking they want a 1/4 acre to a 1/2 acre yard with a moderate sized home, maybe some views of the mountains, walkout basement, and they want it for all about $500,000. Which is wonderful because that did exist in Colorado in 2000. It does not exist in Colorado per se in 2023. Our yard sizes, due to the expansion of all of our population here, have diminished and gotten smaller in size. You can get a decent sized yard, but you're gonna be in a neighborhood that may or may not be in your target desired area. So some of the older places that were built like in the Littleton, Centennial, more of the central Denver area, they will have decent yard sizes. Or if you go further out to the east or sometimes to the southeast, you can get some bigger size yards, or even up into the mountains, but you will have to pay for those yards. They will be very expensive. Typically the $1 million plus homes have those acre sized yards plus, but the more moderate priced homes generally will not have those larger yards. On average, you can assume that your yard will be anywhere from about 1/10 of an acre or so, and that's a pretty decent sized yard for most suburbs, but you're not gonna be finding those 1/4 acre, 1/2 acre yards on the regular. So just something to think about if you have dogs or kids, or you just want a backyard for like a gardening oasis. You will have to look a little bit and also be aware of your budget in relation to where those houses are located. And the last item to consider about Denver, because we are a metro and we are growing and expanding just like other metros that you are familiar with, we do have a homelessness community, which is an unfortunate thing, and the city of Denver and most of the mayoral candidates are working very hard to alleviate this problem to the extent possible. That said, we do have homeless encampments along some areas of parks and trails. You'll see them mostly at a lot of the intersections, and there are operations and programs out there in place for these people because it is a horrible scenario, but it's something to consider if you're trying to avoid the homeless situation. I don't think it's quite avoidable anymore, and it's not necessarily a small problem in Denver, but it's also not overwhelming like some other larger metros. So just an item to call out, perfectly safe to walk around. It's just one of those items that you need to be aware of. And that wraps up my ideas on reasons why you should or should not move to Denver in 2023. Hopefully some of this information was helpful. If you found anything, any bit of information of use, do me a favor, please. A reminder, hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification so you can stay on top of each video that I release. If you'd like to talk to me about questions on moving out here or areas to consider, I'd love to coordinate with you. It's one of the main reasons I do these videos. give me a call at the number listed below, give me an email listed below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, my name is Bill Knapp, residential realtor here in the Denver metro area. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you all on the next one. Cheers.